Welcome to the Daily Review. This is Fed Razak, Senior Trading Strategist here at CM Trading. And today is May 31st, 2023, and today is Wednesday morning. So looking at the highlights of the day, NVIDIA, one of the largest computer technology components in the United States, skyrockets and makes new highs. But first, looking at today's major economic events. So starting out in the European Union, out of Germany, which is the largest economy in the European Union, is coming out with a CPI that's sure to affect the euro. And then at 4 o'clock South African time out of the United States, we have a JOLTS job opening number coming out. Now looking at the various markets, starting out with the Forex symbols, the Turkish Lira continues to weaken versus the US dollar and continues to make new highs versus USD. Now looking at the indices, the Dow Jones and the NASDAQ mostly unchanged. When we look at commodities, gold bouncing while oil tumbles. Now looking at stocks, ALCOA breaking down and making new lows while the techs are holding on. Now lastly, looking at cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin selling off to support. Let's take a look at the markets and see what we can expect from today's trading. So here we go. We're going to start with the Turkish Lira, and this is very exciting. I mean, not exciting if you're from Turkey and if you're working on the Lira, and this is just must be just havoc for the Turkish economy because we're making new lows. 2069 is where we're trading right now. We gapped up again and then we went, and this is looking at a daily. It's just daily doing this, and just be concerned for the Turkish Lira. I mean, why is this happening? Because nothing has changed for Turkey. I mean, Erdogan is back in power for the premiership, and that means the economic policies that he's put into place have not changed, and there's no hope. And when you don't have hope, this is what happens. So I hope things do turn around for them. But for right now, technically speaking, we are making new lows. So conceivably, if this is where we've been, we could get up to 25 liras per dollar. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Now, jumping into the euro, the dollar getting stronger here, and the euro tanking back to its lows of 106.7-ish level, and that is what's happening when it comes to the Forex symbols, and dollar getting much stronger across the board. Now, jumping into commodities, gold bouncing at that 1939, so we got that bounce, but again, we are trading in a range. The top range is 1980 to 2000. That's where I would say. So if you didn't catch this, don't jump into it now. It's not worth it at this stage, but keep that in mind as this still unfolds. Now looking at oil, this tanked yesterday. Look at that, from $73 down to $68. Now, looking at a daily chart, we are getting closer to our supportish level. That doesn't mean that it's a buy yet. What I want to do is keep an eye on this and see how it unfolds to see if it does hold this 67-ish level, and that would be more attractive to jump into it with a little bit more of aggressive stop loss so that, you know, if it does break further than that, that's it, okay? But it's still trading in a range, and that's at the bottom of the range. Now, jumping into the U.S. markets, let's take a look at the Dow. Dow trickles down to 32,900-ish level. You could see that right there. Not a big deal, but it did breach 33,000. That's important because when the Dow Jones changed numbers, that's something to be concerned about. Now, this is reflecting some of the old school stocks. When I say old school stocks, I'm talking about not tech. And we're going to get into that just a second. But first, looking at the NASDAQ before we do, holding on. Didn't sell off. Still very strong. Now, that's because the tech stocks are still strong. But what is weak in the components that trade on the Dow Jones? Look at this. We're looking right now at ALCOA. Now, ALCOA has been a pretty strong stock as it's come back. Now, ALCOA represents kind of like the old school, the machinery kind of stuff. It's an aluminum company. It's a metal company that provides for all the dishwashing and all the washing machines and cars and all that stuff, okay? So this is really very essential. It's an essential stock because it really gives us what's happening in the front lines of new orders coming in. If new orders are not coming in, that means ALCOA is not getting new orders and stock is going to sell off. We did breach that 200-day moving average, which is really very important. Now, jumping into the tech, Microsoft is up. Okay, it's holding on to its gains. Facebook also holding on mostly to its gains to 262. So I'm not too concerned, but this can be a catalyst of when we do take some money off the table. So that may still happen if that unfolds here in the markets. Now, we're going to jump into NVIDIA because I think this is really very important. Big gap up to $400 a share. Now, this is all-time highs. Look at the weekly chart. This is really even higher than where we were in 2021. And NVIDIA is a type of company. We're going to do a target the trade on this, but NVIDIA is a type of company that is a telling sign in the market. Okay, so this is really very important as well. Now, lastly, looking at Bitcoin, let's jump into Bitcoin right there. Trading lower to 27,000. It is at supportish level, previous resistance, subsequent support. That is where we are right now. Let's draw that line so we see that. So this potentially could be a buying opportunity in the anticipation it's going to bounce here. Keep an eye on it. It could bounce nicely today. This is Fed Razak. I want to wish you guys a great trading day. Thank you.